Hello everyone, I'm Corey Mitchell with TradeThatSwing.com, and in this video we're going to go over what is covered in the price action stock day trading course. A little bit of background on me: I was a prop trader for 7 years. That means I worked for a firm. My only job was to day trade. They provided capital. I had no clients, anything like that. My only job was to trade, and I got paid based on performance, no salary, no anything. Basically, if you didn't make money, you hit the road. So these are strategies driven out of that environment where you basically have to be able to pull money out of the market, not every single day, but most days. So in this course, we look at several patterns that play out most days, and the really big time for this strategies, you could trade them all day, but I really like trading that first hour of the day. That's when most of the action is. You can trade later in the day. I don't recommend trading during lunch hour, but you can utilize these strategies throughout the day, especially the morning and then later in the day after lunch hour. But the biggest New York lunch hour, I should specify, the best time for these strategies though is going to be that first hour. That's generally when we're going to get the most bang for our buck, so right around that New York open. And yeah, we look at a few different patterns plus a whole bunch of other stuff just on how to basically trade. So there's some introductory stuff, just what price action trading is. We don't use any indicators. We're just looking at price patterns because they're going to give us the quickest signals. If we're waiting for an indicator to give us a signal, indicators tend to lag a little bit. And when you're, taking trades that last only like a couple minutes, that lag can really hurt us. So I trade and I teach on trading the 1 minute time frame. So you're looking at 1 minute charts. Things are happening fairly quickly. It's a fairly active style of trading. You could use the same approaches on a 5 minute or a 2 minute or a 3 minute if you wanted to slow the activity down just a little bit. That would be totally fine. We want to get ourselves set up for day trading, so we cover, what kind of setup you should have, what kind of you should set up your charts, what stocks to trade. You can basically trade any stock, any ETF, but you're going to want some movement. So I discuss why I trade the stocks I do, and I actually have a page. If you go to stocks, best day trading stocks page, and when I day trade, I'm usually trading these top movers. They move a lot each day. You can see, moving 9%, 10%, 15%. That's between the open and close on average. So these are the ones that I like to trade, these really big movers that also have high volume. But if that's a little too crazy for you, you could trade something like SPY, the S&P 500 ETF, or the QQQ, or IWM, the Russell 2000 ETF. Those are options. You're just gonna, I discuss why in the course, why I prefer those big movers as opposed to kind of the slower moving but big volume ETFs. We discuss position sizing, how to fine tune your position size so that you can still make good returns, but you're also controlling your risk. Things to avoid. This is a big thing that's missing in a lot of courses. They just tell you, take this signal, take this signal, take this signal, but they don't really talk about when you shouldn't be trading. And that's a big thing. So we also want to have these filters that let us know when it is not an ideal time to be trading because conditions aren't quite right. So we talk about those things, what we're looking for on the chart to actually say, yeah, now's a good time to be trading, as opposed to, you know what, this isn't so good, we're more likely to lose in these conditions. We talk about your statistics, so how to monitor your performance and then also improve on your performance over time by looking at these types of statistics and then also looking at and reviewing your own trades. We'll do guidelines for trading. I skipped one thing up here because it's kind of part of the strategy, so we'll get to that in just a moment. The most efficient way to get better. Learning a strategy is just the starting point. And most people don't understand that because they think once they learn a strategy, they should be instantly profitable and have a ticket to infinite wealth. and that's not really the way it works. What we want is to learn a strategy and then keep reviewing our trades and looking at why we tended to lose more in this particular certain situation, or how could we maybe decrease our risk a little bit on our losing trades, how could we extract a little bit more on our winning trades, so that we're keeping the same strategy but we're finding ways to just improve our own performance just a little bit. Even if we can add, like, if we made a couple percent last week and we can find a way to make a percent more next week, that's an improvement. And if we can keep doing that, we're continually improving our performance and how we trade, as opposed to what a lot of people do is they don't get the instant results they're looking for, because every strategy takes practice in this refining process. And I talk about a lot of what you have to look for in the course, but then you also want to review your own trades to look at how you can improve your performance as well, because we're each going to trade a little bit differently, even though we're trading the same strategy. Maybe you're a little bit more conservative. Maybe you have an issue with holding trades into profit, whereas someone else has no problem holding for a profit, but they also might let their losses get a little bit too big. So their problem might be they need to really work on their risk management, where another person might have the issue of they need to really work on themselves to be able to hold to the profit target that we've established. So it's all about noticing where we're personally making little mistakes, where we've deviated from the strategy, and then improving on those mistakes methodically, picking one mistake and working on it over and over again, as opposed to what a lot of people do is they'll learn the strategy, they don't really practice it, they don't look at where they're making the mistakes, and so they think it's the strategy's fault, and then they just jump to another strategy, and of course, lo and behold, the same thing happens again, and they're not successful. Then they jump to another course or another strategy. So we really want to avoid that and look at just how we personally can get better by looking at how we're deviating from the strategy, noticing what mistakes we're making and improving on those. So we discussed that, just a whole bunch of guidelines for better trading, just tips from 20 years of trading now. I was with the firm for 7 years, been on my own for about 13, just trading my own capital. So just a whole bunch of tips. In terms of the strategy, we have trend continuations, rounded tops and bottoms, and contraction plays. And like I said, just 3 patterns gives us usually lots of opportunities each day. There's some quizzes in there to help you out. We'll look at a couple examples of trades in just a second. How to access the course. You're going to get an email immediately, but even if you don't get that email and it ends up in your spam folder or something, after you've paid for the course, you can just go to the members area. Gives you immediate access to the site. You can go to the members area, just punch in your email and the password you created when you signed up, and you're in. Just click the view, and then you'll click view again to actually get to the course. And there's about 17 videos, about 12 hours of content so far. I do add over time as questions come in, or if a certain question keeps popping up, I do add videos, or if I notice other patterns that I start trading, and I'll add videos to the course. So that number of videos may expand over time. So just overall, that's what we're doing in the course. The members area, you can ask questions below any video. So if something doesn't make sense to you, ask a question below the video. Don't just try to do it on your own. I do encourage you to ask questions. If something comes up in your trading and you're not quite sure how to handle that situation, that's this type of thing, getting better at implementing the strategies. So stop that cycle of just bouncing from one thing to the next if you don't quite understand it initially. Ask questions, do the deep dive, and I'm there to answer your questions. So below any video, please ask your questions. Here's a couple examples of some of the trades, just so you can see these. So these are trading these bigger volume stocks, and the patterns that we trade. So there's a couple examples of, we'll look at a few examples, and there's examples of all the patterns that we look at just in, this is the start of the day. So within that first half hour, right, opens at 9:30, and by 10 o'clock, all these charts end. That's usually when I'm done trading. I'd trade for about half an hour, maybe an hour when I'm trading stocks. And we can see multiple opportunities. And I picked a few days where, because you're going to have phenomenal days and you're going to have days that, you might lose 1% or something. But overall, this is kind of the days we want, where we have some losing trades, some winning trades. This is kind of a typical type day. And at the end of the day, you're up a bit. So the percentages and all that, this is how much basically the stock moved after entering. So however much capital you put into it, you would have made that percentage. So really nice, strong down move here. This one, was kind of looking like it might end up like this one, but then stalled out. So, we stopped out. This one started moving our direction. I opted to close it a little bit early. You can see before my stop loss. This one, a nice full runner. We're using very simple risk-reward ratios on these trades. We don't have to calculate too much in terms of where our profit target's going to go. I show you how to basically sort of not automate it fully, but at least your orders go out and you can take your profits at a set level. And so this day, basically these level out, this one. So you end up the day a little bit up over 1% on your capital. And that may not seem like a ton, but over a month, if you could do that every day, you'd be up more than 20% on your money. Here is a look at another day. Again, picked a few that, like, this is kind of typical. You're not going to usually win every single trade you take. So we do have a loser here. This one looked really nice. A little hint there, that's a squeeze, where we get really squeezed in there, and it tried to pop and just couldn't go anywhere. And then this one, really nice run to the downside. We take our profit. Could have had the opportunity to maybe grab a little bit more. Again, I'm usually done right at 10 o'clock. You can see these charts go a little bit past that. So I'm done at 10 o'clock. So there would have been opportunities after I was finished. But overall, a pretty good day here. You're up over 2%, over up 3% on this day. So these types of days occur, and then there are going to be days where we don't see really any patterns. I like to watch about 4 stocks at a time. When you're starting out, maybe you'll only watch 1 just to get used to the patterns, then maybe up it to 2. And obviously you're going to find a few more trades when you're trading or looking at multiple stock charts. But when starting out, you'll probably want to start with maybe just watching 1 and trading it really well and not missing any opportunities. And then as you get better, you'll get better at kind of juggling more positions and more stocks at one time. So that's an option to add on. So you can see we're trading the same strategies. We're working to get better at these strategies, but there's also some discretion or room for improvement. In the example of, you can look at 1 stock, or you can look at 4. If you think you can handle 5, you could watch 5. You can trade different types of stocks. I like trading these really big movement ones, just so that right, this thing moved 2%, or almost 2%, 1.8% to my target here. If you're trading something like SPY doesn't move 1% all. It might move 1% all day. So your trades are going to be, maybe you're risking 0.1% to make 0.2%. So it's a little bit different in that sense. So, your risk is going to be a little bit lower, but your profits are going to tend to be a bit lower in those very stable type stocks. Whereas in things like this, we're risking a little bit more. On this trade, I like using 2-to-1 reward to risk ratios. So we would have been risking about 0.9% of whatever capital we put in that, but then we make double that. This one, our risk would have been 1%. So basically, if we lost on this trade, we would have lost 1% of whatever capital we put in there. But since we won, we ended up making 2%. This one, just based on where the stop loss was, would have ended up losing, or did lose, 0.7%. So that's basically how the strategies kind of work and some examples of them. And yeah, so I hope you enjoy the course, and like I said, leave your questions below the videos because it's very important for you to understand the concepts, and I want you to work on improving on these methods and improving on your own personal performance, as opposed to just, you watch this course and then you jump to another course, and then you jump from another course to this course. Stop that vicious cycle where you're not making any progress. I want you to ask the questions, do the deep dive into these strategies and get better at them, because then your performance is going to get better.